just to go back to the mortgage survey.
Yeah.
How long does a mortgage survey take? What is the point of the mortgage survey, and who kind of instructs the mortgage survey?
Yeah, so mortgage survey, we'll talk about England here, not Scotland. Their process is way better.
Very different. Better.
It is way better than the English process because it's all done up front. But in England, mortgage survey is normally something that will be insisted on by your mortgage lender. They'll arrange it, but it's not a proper valuation report or a home buyer's survey. All they're really doing is checking, is the house worth what you're paying for it? Because that's how they're going to justify your loan to value, and is there the equity in the property that you say there is, and also just make sure that it's suitable mortgage security. So some issues I had over the years where maybe it was one case where they thought that they were right next to a landfill site because they looked on a satellite image and thought landfill site, and it wasn't. It was they were building a new housing development, which is slightly different to a landfill site, but the valuer returned a nil value, so created a bit of work to get that sorted out. But it's just checking that the house is worth what you're paying for it. Is it suitable security for a mortgage? Yes, they will pick up if they go out in person. Is there anything blindingly obvious? Like if it's falling down, the surveyor will probably mention it in their report, but it's not really for you to use for any reason other than that if you're a client. So that's a mortgage survey.
So what happens if a mortgage survey comes back and the valuer says it's not worth what it's been purchased, agreed price?
We've got to be careful because we're sat in a surveyor's office today. I would say, this is the funny thing, is 9 times out of 10, we try another lender, and you'd be surprised how many times a different surveyor from a different lender will say, actually, yeah, that's fine. The moment we get to maybe 2 surveyors have said that actually that's a problem, we might want to have a look at the price, and that very often triggers a conversation with the client, maybe the estate agent as well.
And is that because the lender then won't lend on more than what that surveyor's come back at?
Potentially, or they might not lend the right amount if say they've got only got a 5% deposit. Or it might mean that the customer has to go up a loan to value bracket and maybe has a higher rate of interest on their mortgage. So very often it just triggers a bit of a conversation around everyone might need to just look at this price a little bit, because we've got 2 different surveyors say, that's always been our best practice is, if you've got 2 surveyors saying that it might not be worth it, maybe it's worth digging into a little bit. I've always been a big believer in, though, if it's only one, try a different one, because in my experience, more often than not, you've just got someone who's had a bad day.
Is that an additional cost to try another survey?
Depends on the lender. Most lenders these days, it's a free valuation report anyway. They may not even send someone around to the house. There's been a huge push, and we've mentioned the COVID years a few times, but it's always kind of been a thing. But when going into people's houses became such a big deal, a lot of lenders really pushed towards doing electronic valuation reports and desktop vals and things like that, where they don't even need to go out and see the property. There's normally where there's more of a deposit, there's a bigger margin for error on things, so they're taking less risk. But yeah, you'll often find that they do electronic reports these days, which can be a blessing and a curse, because sometimes actually the conveyancing can cause a bit of issue further down the line, because I've seen scenarios where they've done a home buyer's report and you thought, great, we've got a mortgage offer out in 48 hours for this customer, and then it turns out that there was a bit of an issue structurally with the property, and it was very blindingly obvious, and we would have found out 3 months earlier had they actually sent someone to the house. So this is where it might be appropriate to pay for your own home buyer's report, full structural survey, dependent on the specific priorities that you've got.